Hey, hope everyone's having a good day. It's a beautiful 40-degree morning in February in eastern Pennsylvania. We're heading almost all the way into New York City this morning to take care of a few things. And wanted to make a quick video to discuss all this talk that's been going around about the F-150 PowerBoost being the so-called least reliable vehicle in the Consumer Reports evaluations, which came out about a month or two ago. And, you know, again, there's been a lot of talk going around. A lot of people have made have been made videos discussing all the issues they've had with their PowerBoost or their F-150, and just wanted to address that. We've got about 55,000 miles on our PowerBoost. We bought it brand new in March of 21, so just about 2 years ago. We've also got a 21 F-150 Power Stroke Diesel 3.0 with about 35,000 miles on it that we bought a year ago in March of 22. And so we've got close to 90,000 miles combined on both our F-150s. Again, one of which is 1 year old, one of which is about 2 years old. And so the problem with Consumer Reports is that anytime you read the things they write or listen to the things they say on their videos or you know, in other media they produce, you can tell pretty quickly they're not really that intelligent when it comes to cars. They make basic mistakes that are sort of glaring and obvious, and it makes you realize, okay, these are people who test toasters and microwave ovens for a living, and they're not necessarily car people, and so you should take what they say with a grain of salt. They just don't have that kind of knowledge, that kind of basic fluency with cars the way you'd expect them to. And again, when you realize they test, you know, big screen TVs and they test toaster ovens for a living, and they just do cars on the side, it's one of the many things they do, it doesn't mean they're all that intelligent. You know, so they put out a report a couple of months ago that said the PowerBoost F-150 is the single least reliable vehicle, at least as of now. You know, in the last, you know, I forget what time frame they were talking about, but they said it's got problems with the, you know, there's one 12-volt battery, and then there's another 12-volt battery that's the hybrid battery, and the instant you see that, you're like, okay, let's just toss this entire thing out, because it doesn't have two separate 12-volt batteries. No, it's got a 12-volt battery for the to run the automotive systems, like the engine, like the power windows, like the stereo, like your HVAC, and then it's got a separate high voltage battery that's either 400 or 800, I can't remember, to run the hybrid system. And a lot of people know that. It's not exactly common knowledge, but it's not also sort of expert level knowledge. Anybody who pays attention to hybrids and EVs knows that the voltage on a hybrid or an electric vehicle battery is, you know, much greater, hundreds of volts. And so you look at basic stupid mistakes they make, and it just makes you, again, want to take everything they say with a grain of salt. Now, it is a fact that a lot of people have had trouble with their PowerBoost, especially if you bought it in the first year, as we did, when everything was brand new. And it's got a ton of technology in it. It's got, I mean, just a basic truck to begin with, without the PowerBoost or hybrid system, is exceptionally complicated. It's an all aluminum, double overhead cam, variable valve timing, 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6, intercooled. Not sure if the turbos are VGTs, but it's got port injection. It's got direct injection. It's got about every piece of technology you can put onto a modern internal combustion engine, all of which is subject to breaking down. And it's got a 10-speed automatic transmission, very complicated. A lot of people, a number of people have had challenges with their 10-speed automatics. We have not. And then on top of that, it's got this hybrid system, which is a 50 horsepower, I think 35 kilowatt electric motor sandwiched between the engine and the transmission. And the way they designed it, it's a full hybrid, so you can either use the electric motor with the engine to charge your hybrid battery, or you can use the electric motor with the transmission to run the vehicle, to propel the vehicle without engine power, And so you can use it independently, either with the engine or with the transmission or both. It's got a clutch that engages and disengages it from the engine. And so that's a lot of technology. And then it's got the high voltage battery. It's got inverters. It's got controllers. It's got either a 2.4 or a 7.2 kilowatt DC to AC inverter to run what's called the Pro Power Onboard system, and that is awfully complicated. And then on top of that, you got your Sync 4, which is a 12-inch screen, which on ours, by the way, they just enabled the widescreen CarPlay, which is really, really nice. It actually uses the full 12-inch width of the screen, which it should have been from the start. But to their credit, they recognized the problem and they made the change, and they sent it out by an over-the-air update. It used to be that it only occupied a much smaller portion of the screen, and then literally yesterday we were driving it, and all of a sudden it went to widescreen mode, and without us touching the screen or making any changes or anything like that. And that's just an over-the-air update they did, which was kind of nice. And that's complicated. It's got the PowerBoost that we own has the B&O premium sound system, the so-called premium sound system. That's really not that good. This one that we're driving this morning, which is the diesel, does not have the premium sound system. And to be honest, it's really hard to tell the difference. And that's got complexity. And in the PowerBoost, we have had it break down 3 times, and all the volume has disappeared. And it took a decent amount of figuring out and snooping around and detective work to figure out the problem. And we did solve it eventually. And we made a video about it. It involves pulling up one of the fuses in the fuse box down by the passenger kick panel. Nothing that was easy to figure out. It just took a lot of detective work. And what else? Again, the interior has got a ton of complexity. It's got, you got multiple drive modes that you can select from. You've got electronic on-the-fly 4-wheel drive. It doesn't have a manual transfer case. I guess those things are fading into the past, like the Dodo Bird or something. Nobody wants to actually reach down and engage the manual transfer case anymore, because that's too much to ask. You want to be able to push a button and have it engage electronically. And again, that's subject to braking. You've got we talked about the Pro Power Onboard with the different outlets. You've got an instrument cluster that in the trucks we own, the 2 F-150s we own, it's like half analog and half digital. You got your analog speedometer and tachometer, the way God meant for it to be, and then you got this information screen in the middle. And so all this stuff is highly, highly complex and subject to glitching out and subject to braking, going bad on you, crapping out. But I guess what we're here to say is that we just haven't had a lot of trouble. To the point where, when you have a vehicle that's always breaking down on you and always giving you one problem after another, you stop trusting it, and it becomes more of a hassle to own it than it's worth. And neither one of our trucks, our F-150s, has given us that feeling. Some people have said on the videos they made, God damn this thing, what else is good? What's going to break next? There was one guy who had the speakers. He had the premium B&O or the B&O Unleashed sound system, and the speakers that were built into the headliner were crapping out, and the gas cap on his truck broke off, and a lot of things like that. Another guy had his HVAC start putting out nothing but 130 degree air. And so you can classify these problems in 2 ways. One of which is, 3 ways maybe. One of which is a minor irritation, and you just kind of, it kind of ticks you off, but you overlook it. And another one is that it's bad. It's really bad. Like your gas cap breaking off on a brand new truck. Maybe the guy that installed it showed up hungover that day, or maybe he, didn't like who won the Super Bowl the previous night. But it's not going to strand you. And then the third and most glaring weakness is the kind of problem that will leave you stranded by the side of the road. And so neither one of our F-150s, in 90,000 miles of driving them through all kinds of climates and environments and lots of highway driving, lots of towing, pretty heavy use, although not exactly torture testing, neither one of them has remotely come close to leaving us stranded by the side of the road. We would gladly, in either one of them, jump in them and drive cross-country in any season, through Death Valley in the middle of the summer, through the Colorado Rockies in the dead of winter, and have no concerns whatsoever that they are going to leave us stranded. Not even remotely. With other vehicles we own, yeah, you'd think long and hard before you took them across country, especially with a big heavy trailer. We got a Duramax, a 2011 dually, and it's a good truck in a lot of ways. Has a lot of capability, but in the 2 years that we've owned it, it's just been one damn thing after another going wrong with it. And if it's not the DEF system, the SCR, the DEF injection system, then it's the DEF, then it's one of the oxygen sensors. And if it's not that, then it's the transmission starting to slip in fifth gear. And if it's not that, then it's it's just always something with that truck. The brakes, calipers sticking. Or maybe it's a slow coolant leak, and so you got to diagnose that, and you got to wonder, okay, is it burning coolant? Is there just a leak somewhere? Is it the head gaskets? No, it isn't the head gaskets, and so that just completely saps your confidence in the vehicle, and it gives you no faith in its ability to get, like I said, down the road a couple thousand miles without potentially leaving you stranded. Maybe in Nebraska, maybe in the dead of winter. And that's the kind of feeling you don't want to have in a pickup truck, especially a brand new pickup truck that you just bought, that you're making payments on, and it's $60,000+. And so again, our F-150s, both of which we bought brand new, both of which are 2021s, one of which we got in spring of 21 when they first started to hit the dealers, and so you could consider it one of the earliest ones that were made. One of which, the second one, again, this diesel, the one that we're driving now, which we got in spring of 22, and it was probably one of the last diesel F-150s ever made. Neither one of them has experienced failures or even the hint of failures that might potentially leave us stranded. Both of them have worked exactly as advertised. The PowerBoost, if you've driven one of them, it has more power and torque and acceleration than you are ever going to need. It's astonishing how fast that truck is, and how little effort it ever seems to make when you're really on it hard. It just loves to run hard. Never ever feels like it's running out of the breath, or like it would rather not be doing what you're asking it to do. The diesel, on the other hand, yeah, it's a little bit light on power. I mean, it's got almost 200 fewer horsepower than the other one, the PowerBoost. I mean, it will, if you really want it to go hard and fast, it will, but you can tell it doesn't really enjoy it. On the other hand, the diesel will get, as you can see there, 28.5 miles to the gallon on the highway at real highway speed, 70+ miles an hour, without a trailer, and it'll be in the teens when you're towing a trailer. sometimes the mid to upper teens, like a 12-foot enclosed trailer. We got the gooseneck hitch on it now, and we actually switched the towing mirrors onto it because we might be adding a trailer to our collection. 28-foot Featherlight gooseneck, and so yeah, the diesel, it doesn't have a ton of power. It doesn't love to launch off the from a red light and leave some dude in a Mustang or a Camaro in the dust. But that's hopefully not why you bought your truck, and hopefully not what you enjoyed spending your life doing. Because maybe you got other interests. Maybe you got a job and a spouse or a kids, that kind of thing. There's a phase in your life that you go through where, yes, you love drag racing people and you love seeing if you can take it up to 100 between now and the next turn on the highway, and then you get through that and you become a mature adult and you don't need to be able to do that anymore. But in the PowerBoost, yes, it will gladly go as fast as you want it to. Until the speed limiter kicks in, and what is that, at 112 miles an hour, something like that? Don't really care to find out. Not in a pickup truck, at least. And so hopefully that illuminates the discussion a little bit. If you are thinking about getting one of these trucks and you're not sure because you keep hearing about all the problems, do not let that hold you back. Again, we have had absolutely nothing go wrong with our PowerBoost that would give us pause and make us think twice before jumping in it and driving 2,500 or 3,000 miles across country. Not even close. Has it had minor little glitches and little issues and things that we wish they wouldn't have built it that way, or we wish they would have done something different, or why does it beep twice every time you shut the door when you get out to change to put gas into it? Why does that stupid beeper come on when you put it in reverse, even with the engine on? There's just little stuff like that that's annoying, but it's not what we would consider a fatal flaw, a massive reliability issue. The volume crapping out on the speaker 2 or 3 times, that's not acceptable, but we figured it out and we know what to do about it. We had a problem with premature wear on the front tires, on the outer edges, which you think might have been like a suspension thing. Maybe it's got too much positive camber. No, we took it to a couple places and they finally figured it out, and it was an alignment problem. It was not something that the truck was meant to do. Kind of like our Tesla, which we got rid of when the warranty ran out. And that thing was engineered with tons and tons of negative camber on the rear tires, and so it just devoured tires every maybe 30,000 miles, all the way down to the belts, because of the way the car was designed. And so with that Tesla, as soon as the warranty ran out, yeah, we got rid of it. There was no way in hell we would keep that car without a warranty. The F-150, it's not clear yet if it's the kind of vehicle you want to get rid of after the warranty runs out. We did get the extended warranty on both of them, I think out to 125,000 miles, because again, with a brand new truck, in terms of the 14th gen refresh, tons and tons of technology in it, a lot of which was brand new. You don't want to be paying for repairs on stuff like this when it goes bad. And we have had a warranty repair on the PowerBoost, and it was the trailer brake controller. Not the kind of thing you first think of when you imagine things that can go wrong, but it had the fault that kept saying in the dashboard here, it kept saying something like, trailer turn signal fault or something like that, and so we brought it in and they diagnosed it, and it ended up needing a brand new trailer brake controller. That's about probably a $300 to $500 repair if it's out of warranty. And so that's the kind of thing you don't want to have to pay for, again, in a brand new truck or a truck that's 1 or 2 years old. So definitely get the extended warranty. Would we keep a truck like this after about 100 or 150,000 miles? It's questionable. We had a lot of concerns about the longevity of the 3.5 EcoBoost. After all the problems it had early on with all the cam phasers and things like that. But ours has not had hardly any trouble, our 3.5. So we'll see. The plan originally was to get rid of it when the new Super Duty comes in that we ordered. And that was actually supposed to be built last week, February 6th. But if you know anything about the new 23 Super Duty and their production challenges, from the start, that vehicle has been cursed because of either chips or other components or who knows what. And so there's tons and tons of them being built, but then they're being parked and not actually released to the dealers to be shipped, to be delivered to the people that ordered them. And so who knows, again, what the dealer first said is that, yeah, it's going to be built the week of February 6th. Well, that came and went. And then last week they said, oh yeah, it's going to be built the week of February 13th. Okay, that's this week. So either we'll have it in a couple weeks, or we'll have it in a couple months, or maybe we'll have it next year. And it's hard to say at this point. But the plan was to get rid of the PowerBoost when the new Super Duty came in. And now we're not sure, because the problem is that we love that damn truck. Again, it's so fast. It's so great for long trips. It's about the perfect road trip vehicle. You could jump in it and knock out an 800-mile day, a couple days in a row, 2, 3, 4 days, and not be any worse for the wear. It's so comfortable. It's got that self-driving system, and the lane centering and the adaptive cruise control to where it basically drives itself. You just kick back, keep your hands on the wheel, and let it do its thing, and be ready to take over if you need to. Most of the time you don't need to take over, and that makes it a real pleasure to do long trips. It's pretty much our go-to vehicle for road trips these days. The PowerBoost or this one, either one of them, they both have the lane centering and adaptive cruise. They're optioned almost identically, except for a couple little things. And so it's almost the ultimate test of a vehicle. Do you love it so much that even when it makes logical sense to get rid of it, you just don't want to? And with the PowerBoost, again, it's going to be very hard to get rid of it. We're highly tempted to get rid of our Duramax instead. Even though the Duramax on paper has more capability, it's got about 5,000 pounds of payload, which is like 3.5 times the payload of our PowerBoost. It's got an 8-foot bed instead of a 6.5-foot bed. It can tow about a 22,000 pound trailer with a max gross combined weight rating, I think, of 30,000, and the PowerBoost has a max gross combined weight rating of 18,000. So it can only tow about a 12,000 pound trailer. Conventional, it can only tow about a 9,100 pound trailer, gooseneck or fifth wheel. So it can tow less than half the trailer of the Duramax, but we are still much less inclined to get rid of it than we are with the Duramax, because it's just so damn nice to drive. So we'll see what happens. We may not have to make that decision now for weeks or months, depending what happens with the 23s. Either way, hope that adds to the discussion a little bit. Again, if you're thinking about getting a PowerBoost, do not be turned off by the consumer reports, or as people call them, the consumer reports, evaluation of the PowerBoost as the so-called least reliable vehicle that they've tested all year. They also said Tesla had like the 7th or 8th best self-driving system, and if you've ever driven a Tesla, that's preposterous in the extreme. And Edmunds, oh by the way, has said the F-150 is the best truck there is for, I think, 3 years running now. So just don't fall for it, bottom line. If you get a PowerBoost, chances are you're going to love it and you're going to never want to get rid of it. Especially if, as has happened in a number of occasions now, the power goes out for a couple days at a time and you lose all the heat in your house in the dead of winter. Like I think Texas has had a couple winters down. And like a lot of other places had back in December when we had that last polar vortex, and like 10 or 20 million people, or 10 or 15 million people had no electric power. Well, if you got a PowerBoost, not to worry, because you can run your house off your pickup truck. And it's the only vehicle right now that can run your house for 2 or 3 days off a tank of gas. And when the gas runs out, you can just refill it. Everyone talks about their electric vehicle being able to run their house. Well, that's great, but eventually the battery in your electric vehicle is going to die, and your PowerBoost will just need a couple of gallons of fuel. So in a prolonged power outage, like maybe a week or 2 weeks after a hurricane or a tornado, this is the vehicle you want to have, the PowerBoost F-150. It can power your house indefinitely, as long as you keep adding gas to it, which is a lot more available than electricity when the entire city or state has no electricity. All right, well, thanks again, everyone, and hope you have a great day. We will talk to you later.